You guys can come up here and stand with us. We'd love it. I know you want to stand in the shade. There's Robert right there. Okay, good. Well, welcome everybody to End the Streak event. We have a crisis in our state. More than 83,000 mothers, fathers, husbands, wives, daughters, and sons have died in senseless, preventable crashes over the past 23 years, and this is unacceptable to us. That number would fill Globe Life Field in Arlington 2 times over. More than, in last year alone, 4,406 people died on Texas roadways. An average of 12 people a day lose their life. And that's the highest that we've had in years, and we are headed in the wrong direction. Already in 2023, more than 3,100 people have died on our roads. I'm just going to pass this over to Scott.
The problems we face are multifaceted. Drinking and driving, speed-related and distracted driving crashes are among the leading causes of highway incidents as well as deaths on our roadways. The tragedy of this is that those kinds of deaths and those accidents and those losses of property are entirely preventable. So far, as of the end of October in 2023, 1 out of every 4 fatalities in our state has involved drunk driving. So far, as of at the end of October of 2023, 1,090 people have been killed in speed-related crashes. Likewise, distracted driving has killed 299 people so far in 2023. Another major cause of traffic fatalities is unrestrained vehicle occupants. That is, not putting on your seatbelt or having your child properly secured in a car seat. Last year, that resulted in 1,243 fatalities. That's the reason we prosecute these offenses. It seems inconvenient to people. It is expensive to be charged with DWI or be charged with an offense that results in injury or death of another motorist. But these numbers tell us that the problem is not going away. As Lavisa said, we are going in the wrong direction. And we in the Potter County Attorney's Office have determined we're going to continue to treat DWI and distracted driving and driving-related offenses as a serious matter that deserve our undivided attention. One of the reasons that factors into that is that statistics show early intervention in a DWI case on a first-time offender has a greater chance of reducing recidivism than any other offense. DWI really can be the every person offense. Anyone can find themselves making a bad decision and suddenly facing the expense, the humiliation, and the burden of an DWI conviction. And so with that, I want to join Lavisa and the Texas Department of Transportation and our law enforcement partners in urging, as the holidays are coming, urging people, stop and think. If you've had a drink, get a sober drive. If you're on your phone, put it down until you get where you're going and lay off of the speed. I know in Texas it's sort of a national rite of passage to drive fast, but we already have some of the most generous speed limits in the nation. There is no need to be driving faster than the speed limit or, as the law says, than the conditions make appropriate. Sometimes it's not okay to be going the speed limit when there's rain, snow, or ice on the road. Please, during the holidays, we want to make sure the message gets out. Stop and think before you get behind the wheel, because it's not just your life or even your family's life that's at issue. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I want to introduce Robert Love next.
I cannot emphasize how important what Scott Brumley just said is to this problem that we have in the state of Texas. That was spot on. What can we do as drivers? Be the driver that you want next to you, or the one driving your kid or your mom or your dad or your loved one. You want to be that driver because you want that driver to drive safely and cautiously and courteously and soberly. Most crashes are due to driver error. So we need the help of drivers to end the fatal crashes with a few simple driving habits. Wear your seatbelts. I think I was of the generation that started wearing seatbelts. I turned 18, and that was the year that the law passed that you had to start wearing seatbelts. I'd driven my whole life without them in my parents' cars, but we need to encourage more people to wear their seatbelts. Don't get ejected. Drive the speed limit. Put away the phone and other distractions. And never drive under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Even if it was just one beer, or even if it was just one drink. That's too many for most people. Don't. Find somebody. In our society, it is so much easier now to find another safe ride, whether it's Uber or a friend or someone at the bar that hasn't been drinking, a designated driver. Find an alternative. Particularly errors of concern. Let's see, most traffic crashes are preventable. They are caused by our mistakes, driving unsafe speeds, texting and driving, or drinking and driving. Those are easily preventable. The biggest driving mistakes that cause most people to die in Texas, drunk driving, driving at unsafe speeds. I can't emphasize more, and for what Scott and I do as prosecutors in Potter and Randall County, I don't want to prosecute DWI cases. I don't. But they just keep coming. All the law enforcement partners you see behind us, they keep bringing them. So someone out there isn't getting the message. If that's someone you know, talk to them. Find out how we can prevent this. Find out how you can stop that person from getting behind the wheel. I appreciate all of the people who are out here today, and I will pass this on to Libby or whoever she tells me to pass it on to. Packers more.
Oh, look, wait.
Mine will be really quick. Good afternoon. I'm Captain Zamora from the Potter County Sheriff's Office. I think Scott and John pretty much laid it out already. All the statistics. Potter County Sheriff's Office will do everything we can, and we will continue to do that to enforce the laws, DWI laws. Last year we received a grant to work extra patrols on the holidays, on the major holidays, to work DWIs. And we're working on getting that grant again this year, and we believe we will get it, and we will continue to work DWIs in certain areas of town, the hot spots. And we are 100% behind the In the Street campaign.
Afternoon. I'm Blair Johnson, TXDOT District Engineer for the Amarillo District. So what is TXDOT doing to stop this disturbing trend? Safety is our top priority, and we continue to implement high engineering standards when it comes to building our highway system. At TXDOT, we consider every project a safety project, and we have committed to enhancing safety on Texas roads by investing $17 billion in safety improvements across the state through our 10-year construction funding plan. TXDOT has also developed new changes that may seem small, but could have a big impact. We will be increasing the size of our pavement striping from 4 inches to 6 inches over the coming years to help reduce roadway departures. This has been a proven NHTSA safety countermeasure. We'll also be providing a wider centerline buffer between double yellow striping with rumble strips and raised pavement markers on certain highways in our area to alert drivers when they cross the center line. We're also evaluating innovative intersections like roundabouts that have the potential to reduce fatalities at intersections by 90%. Lastly, TXDOT is implementing a Safer by Design program to give our designers a tool to see expected safety performance from most of the key design elements considered for projects. Thank you.
I'm Wes Kimmel. I'm the Director of Operations here in the Emerald District. I kind of want to read a few stats that we have. I know some of this was kind of discussed a little bit, but so Texas as a whole is just over 29 million folks. And of those licensed drivers are about a little over 23 million. So there's quite a bit of folks that are out on our roadways on a daily basis. Our district here alone, so we encompass 17 counties here. We have around 400,000 folks in these 17 counties, and we have just a little over 200,000 here in the city of Amarillo. So we've got quite a bit of our 17 county population running around here, which shows on our stats. Potter and Randall County are increasingly higher than some of the outer counties. So some additional stats for FY22, or just the calendar year 22. We had 816 pedestrian-related crashes, basically where a vehicle hit a pedestrian walking. So the majority of deadly crashes are due to mistakes by drivers. And I think we touched on this, but it's all due to distractions. It's all due to like texting while driving. I've seen folks eating while driving. Of course, drinking while driving is definitely considered a distraction as well. The next one I got here is 488 folks were killed in those distracted driving crashes. I know we mentioned this earlier, but I think it's a good point. So 1 in 4 were killed in traffic-related crashes where the driver was under the influence of alcohol. And I always like reiterating unbuckled restraint passengers. So 1,243 unbuckled people died in traffic-related crashes last year. So kind of as a whole, I always kind of like to put this in perspective. So we have an average of about 3,800 in about the last 10 years. So about 3,800 folks die on a yearly basis. And so if we're kind of putting that in a kind of an equivalent, it's about 10 jetliners per year going down. So that's quite a bit of folks that are passing away on the roadways. So the importance of distracted driving is very much. And with that, I will pass it over to Sheriff.
Good afternoon. My name is Melissa Anderson. I'm the Sheriff in Armstrong County. I'm going to echo everything that these guys have said back here about the roadway. I have 287 running through my county for a long stretch, and we have seen plenty of fatalities since I came into office January 2021. It's a very sad situation, and it's something we definitely need to get a handle on. Even as recent as 2 weeks ago, I had a call-in for a reckless driver. My deputy was able to intercept them at a point. They were driving the wrong way on 287, and they were extremely intoxicated. So things like that are just going on a daily basis. Doesn't matter what time of day or night, something that we need to address. I have the statistics for the Amarillo District area as far back as 2018, but I'm going to start with 2021. So we had 90 fatalities in 2021, 99 in 2022, and so far this year we have had 63 fatalities. And that number, my understanding, has gone up since this was printed. Also, I have contributing factors in the Amarillo District area. So the number one contributing factor is failure to control speed. There's failure to drive in a single lane, intoxicated alcohol, wrong side not passing, and intoxicated with drugs. So as you can see, we have an issue with the intoxication, and it's something that we definitely need to address. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who showed up today, and appreciate y'all so much. One of the cool things that TXDOT and Andrea's project is doing is that every person who gets a DWI and is on probation actually has to come to the victim impact panel, and they have to hear some of our victims speak about their losses, and it has been so impactful. We had 4 folks come the first time, 10 the next time, and I've got 14 signed up for next Tuesday. I make them share their arrest, how the whole thing happened, and then they actually put a face to that random name. They now know that there is somebody out there whose life was taken by an impaired driver. So we just think that's really, really important. And now I want to take the opportunity to introduce you to Tom Sherlin. He is one of our city councilmen, and we are going to let him share his story about his precious son.
Thank you. Wow, that was an impact. Well, I want to share my story with you, and it's about my son, Justin. As you can see a picture of him just below me here. It was back in 2015, on September the 8th. Justin had reported to work about 6 o'clock in the morning for his shift. At that time, I was out at Amarillo International Airport boarding a plane. I get a call while I'm boarding the plane saying, your son's been involved in an accident. Well, my other son was a police officer as well, so I got on the phone, called him, and I said, Trevor, how bad is it? Do I need to stay here, or do I need to go ahead and go? He made a few phone calls and calls me back a little bit later and says, Dad, I think you need to stay. And let me tell you, my heart sunk. My stomach turned over 3 or 4 times. And I had to call because my wife had taken me to the airport. I had to call and get a ride. In the meantime, the police department had reached out to my wife and came over and got her. And she went and took care of the 4 grandkids that were Justin's. And during that time, as I was coming back to town, I happened to get back in time to see the ambulance and the motors escorting my son. And that took it all out of me I ever had, let me tell you. It was tough. Something no family should ever have to endure. Something that every family that is caught in this situation has to endure. And like all these people before me said, there's reasons that causes accidents. And there's a lot of different reasons. But in my opinion, there's one main reason why accidents happen in Texas. It's a decision that was made by a driver. Whether it was driving while intoxicated, while driving under the influence of drugs, or picking up your cell phone and texting. That's what causes the majority of the problems, is somebody made a very bad decision that day. Now their decision affected not just them, but affected everybody around them, and affected the people they didn't have any intentions of affecting. Justin was hit head-on 34th in Georgia. He was responding to the first call of the day, somebody needing help. There he was, made the corner at 34th in Georgia, heading west, and some individual in a jacked up truck ran over the top of his patrol car. While it happened, Justin was stuck in the car for over 2 hours while the fire department of Amarillo worked diligently to get him out. He was administered 3 pints of blood during that process. He sit down there, and if you listen to the tape, because his mic was on, after the accident you hear all the crumble of metal. You hear a little bit of movement, and then you hear nothing. Nothing at all. Just pure silence. The worst sound a father could ever want to hear. And it was silence like that for quite a period of time. Being a father, it felt like it was forever for me. But then all of a sudden, I hear a taking in that breath. Taking in a breath of precious life. And I remember Justin had broken 31 bones, broke his pelvis, broke his back, went through 9 surgeries in the following 10 months of his recovery. His biggest problem was during the wreck, he broke his left femur, which was a compound fracture and went out of his leg, which caused a lot of, he could never get ahead of the infections. But anyway, Justin was a trooper. He fought. As we heard that breath, I remember asking Justin, this was several months after the accident, I said, Justin, once we heard the wreck, we heard all the noise, we heard the crumbling of metal, we heard everything, but we never heard you for seemed like a period of time. And Justin says, yeah. He said, Dad, let me tell you. I said, tell it to me. He said, well, during that time, Dad, Jesus Christ came and asked me if I was ready to go with him. And Justin said, I responded. He said it was beautiful. They said I responded. But God, I've got 4 kids. I've got a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 9-month-old. He said, I would like to have time to tell them goodbye. Now, I don't know about y'all, but that just choked me up something fierce. And the Lord responded, saying, Justin, I'm going to let you go back. And that's when we hear that breath. He's coming back. But the Lord also says one other very important thing. He says, the next time I come, you will not have a choice. So for 10 months, Justin fought surgery after surgery, pain upon pain. Every day was an act of just surviving. Now what I want to tell you here is something that really set my heart really above all, is at the police department after Justin's accident, there were a lot of homeless people that would go to the police department and give a quarter or 50 cents or whatever. And they told this story, they would say, he always checked on me. He made them feel like more than they were just street people. They cared. He cared. And what was really amazing, they gave what little they had to help Justin. There was one man, there's a guy that sells fruit down at 34th in Georgia. He brought a basket of fruit up to the hospital and said, you know, he was always there to help me. If everything was going okay, could he do anything for me? That's the kind of man Justin was. He lived for the Lord, he died for the Lord, and he served the Lord. So as we get ready to go back and look at his life, we see the pain that was left. As he passed away on August the 4th of 2016, Justin left 4 children. He left a wife. He left a mother and a father. He left a brother. So there's plenty of people that were affected by one man's decision. Yes, this man was taken to court. He was found guilty. He was under the influence of some type of drug. And that's why I'm so thankful to these people standing behind me is that we were able to stop further tragedy from going forward. Now this young man, he's out of jail because we didn't really want him to see him in jail. We asked Robert Love if he had been doing good since the time he had the accident. Yes, he had. And we didn't see any reason to go ahead and put him in jail. We would rather him go out and tell the story. Go out to people in the school. And I remember sitting there in the courtroom, and they asked, "Do you want to say anything?" And I said, "Yeah, I want to say something." And I got up and said, I want to say one thing to you. Justin's famous saying was, "What can I do for you?" And I said, I want you to ask that to somebody every day. Now for the next 10 years, this young man is going to be going to jail every Labor Day weekend. He will spend Labor Day weekend in jail, contemplating and thinking about what his decision was. But today, if we all get together and spread the word, we can stop this streak. Because the streak we're on is not a good streak, it's a bad streak. It's not a winning streak, it's a losing streak. And how do we fix it? We tell our neighbors what we need to do. We tell our neighbors when we see something that's not quite right with the driver, call the police or the DPS or the sheriff's department. Because you can save the next life. And that's what it's about, life. Life and death. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom and Nancy. We appreciate y'all being here and sharing the great story of Justin. I knew him. He was precious, precious man. Everything that you said was that man. Well, thank you guys so much for coming out. A special thanks to all of our law enforcement agencies. And we have a judge here. We have our district attorney, county attorney, all the different law enforcement agencies that are here. We just appreciate them so much. And really, we are. Thank y'all so much. And also our wonderful TXDOT people. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming.